Hello and welcome to Won't Be Forgetting That, a podcast talking about all the most awkward and embarrassing moments of people working in the arts and the entertainment industry. I'm your podcast host, Seb Muirhead, and today we have a guest. They are an actor and a baron, Ross Mann.
Hello, everybody. My name is Ross Mann, and I am a baron.
Thank you. Can you first off explain to anyone, Ross, what a baron is? And by anyone, I do mean myself.
Well, a baron is the opposite of a baroness.
Beautiful. That's all we need then. Moving on. No, but I didn't realise you own some land and possibly some people now in Scotland.
Well, it's more like, do you know when you're given the option of a drop-down menu and you can choose your title? And people can kind of just go for Mr. or Miss or Ms. There's also, if you scroll further down, Reverend,
Aye.
Captain, and Baron.
Oh, nice. So what you're saying is I've given you too much power in this and I shouldn't have let you choose your own titles.
Pretty much. And I also like the thought of a postie coming to the door and getting really excited that they're maybe delivering to a baron.
And a baron is somebody that, like a landowner, opposed to somebody that cannot bear children.
Yes, or both.
Ah, yeah, they're not mutually exclusive. That's true.
Yeah.
Can you bear children?
I have never tried.
Well, that's hopefully something that can come about in the future then. I've not just outed you on the podcast. You're our first Scottish guest as well, so congratulations on that.
Thank
First
you.
Scottish person ever on the podcast.
Well, apart from yourself, you kind of count as a Scottish guest.
I'm half and half now, I feel like.
Are you actually?
I've definitely put on the accent a wee bit more now with you being on it, but for the most part, it's lose-lose, honestly. In Australia, everyone says I sound Scottish, or they can't understand me, and I come back home to Scotland and everyone says I sound Australian, so...
Yeah. Well, luckily, you look like neither.
No, I don't. I look like a prisoner, according to Ross. Just before, a wee bit of a peek behind the curtain, Ross said I'm dressed like a prisoner and my house looks like a prison, so I'm doing pretty well here.
You sound like a prisoner and you probably smell like a prisoner as well.
I've also committed a lot of crimes as well, but we won't be talking about that on the podcast. So obviously the premise of the show is talking about all the most awkward and embarrassing moments that have happened in the arts and entertainment industry. I feel like this is a good time now to bring up that you are responsible probably for one of my most embarrassing moments ever.
What is it?
Wow, you don't. How dare you?
Is it related? Is it related to acting or just like?
I mean, both. I can definitely talk about life in general, but acting for sure. But maybe we can save that for the end then, if it's not coming to your mind. I don't want you to be thinking about this. I know you've come in with some prepared stories, so let's launch straight into some of your stories first off. I know you've listened to a few of the previous episodes. I usually like to leave the most scandalous ones till the end. Do you have any idea of how you want to tell them, or what ones you want to tell first?
Well, I was thinking about doing them in like timeline of life.
Oh, okay. Like chronologically. I understand.
Because I feel that like as you move through your career, things should become less embarrassing. Because
that's what people say, and
they should do, shouldn't they? No, because you should be able to like pick and choose a bit better. You should have more experience, or maybe even be less likely to be embarrassed.
Exactly, you just own it a little bit more, especially just getting older in life and stuff like that as well. You kind of like, it happened, what of it now? But like, especially starting out, you fuck up a lot of the time, and you do really sort of metaphorically shit the bed a lot more. But yeah, I don't know. I've not found that. I'm still fucking embarrassed by everything I do, I'll be honest with you.
Yeah, it's a level of embarrassment can be quite good because then you've got to fight against it.
Yeah. And also, I think you need a healthy amount of embarrassment. Otherwise, you just turn into an improv comedian.
Yeah. And I suppose if you're the guy who ends up just doing the embarrassing jobs, you get those jobs because no one else wants to do them.
But work is work as well, so I'm definitely not going to complain about that. Look, if you want me to dress up as a human toilet for an ad, you only have to ask casting directors.
I think I've got one about an advert.
Oh, do you? Nice.
Yeah.
Do you want to? Is that the? So we'll start the chronological way then. So early
Let's-
career. Are we talking it, or even back
Well,
when you were training?
I wonder if it ties into your most embarrassing. No, it can't be your most embarrassing moment. But it's way back. Cast your mind right way back to high school,
Oh, aye.
and it was our last year, and they were putting on the school pantomime.
Oh, yes.
Do you
Peter
remember?
Pan.
It's Peter Pan.
I do remember Peter Pan.
And because obviously you were already an actor at that point.
For all listeners, I was very established. I'd been an extra in at least one film by then. I think I'd done one other student film, and I'd done a load of really shite plays. Shite because I was a child. I don't know what the premises were.
Did you go to like youth theatre and stuff?
Yeah, Edinburgh Acting School, actually, where we went to together as young adults. I'd done that when I was a kid.
That's also one of my embarrassing stories.
Oh, beautiful. I can't wait.
But yeah, so you got one of the prime parts in the panel because you were already an actor. You were
John? Little John? No.
Little John from Robin Hood crossing over into...
Wee Johnny's come up to Peter Pan. Yeah, John, is that Wendy's brother?
I was trying to remember what their names were, the wee brothers. Like, I was just thinking like John and Roger or
John and Richie?
John and William.
John and Little John?
I'm sure one of them's called Barry or something.
Bazza? Johnny and Bazza?
So you had one of those prime parts.
Yes.
And
yes.
I don't think you had to audition for it.
No, we all did. We all had to audition.
Okay, so we were in that room auditioning.
Yep.
And I was quite far back in the queue. And when it got to my turn, I just got scared. And I did that thing of kind of just like standing still and shaking your head and just going like, I don't want to do it.
Oh no! Oh, I don't remember this at all.
Well, I was quite a scaredy little cat back then.
Oh, we all were.
Yeah, it wasn't fun. And then I remember seeing people like laughing, going like, "Oh, he's too scared to do it." But it was I think it was the biology teacher who'd written it or was directing it or something. And
No, Peter Pan's been around for a wee while.
What?
Yeah, no, it wasn't Mrs. Margrave.
No, but she wrote the film.
The Peter Pan film.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. And all the residuals had dried up, and she went on to teach biology when she was 170.
But she came up to me in biology, and I think she knew that I kind of wanted to do it, and she felt a bit sorry for me. And she was like, "Okay, I think I've got would you like to still do it?" And I said, "Yes, I would actually." And she said, "I've got the perfect part for you. You don't have to speak. You can just like run around silly, and you are going to be Peter Pan's shadow."
You were the shadow. That's right.
I was the shadow of Peter Pan, the mischievous little shadow.
Fuck, you did a wee dance, was that right?
I think I came on, with pure fear, and just ran around and jumped around and maybe broke some stuff, and then I remember kind of maybe like grabbing you and trying to spin you around, or
maybe
I hit you in the balls with an umbrella or something. Like,
you were dressed as a bank robber as well. You were just all in black with a pair of tights over your head.
I had tights on my legs.
Yeah, on legs. Sorry.
I had tights on my top over my arms, and then I had tights on my head. I just bought a pack of tights. And that was my costume. I was just the shadow tight man.
Why is that man just dressed all in tights trying to grab those children?
Yeah, it's like he's quite clearly got an actual shadow. Who's this guy that's just like running around?
Who was Peter Pan for that?
I think it might have been Jennifer.
Maybe this is for people listening now as well. If you went to high school with us and could tell us who you were in the final year pantomime of Peter Pan, that'd be perfect. But
it was quite fun. But I just remember the pure fear overtaking me, and then going just move your legs and arms and do weird stuff. And
everyone else was in the room watching you as well?
Oh wait, this was during the actual show.
Oh, was it?
Yeah. Because I don't feel like we rehearsed it at all, or
Oh,
maybe
I don't know.
once.
We didn't have like, for any context for anybody listening as well, we didn't have like a drama department at school. Like
No.
we went to a very meat and potatoes school, I think you'd call it, and like it was very, very thin on the ground as far as subjects available to people. So this is the first time that we'd ever done any sort of drama at school. So yeah, I don't know if we'd rehearsed it or not, or like
Everyone was supposed to wear tights, or
look, we didn't get a casting, or sorry, we didn't get a costume brief, so there was no direction for tights or no tights or too many tights, honestly.
yeah.
But yeah, that can definitely that can definitely be a problem when you give a young man a pack of tights and you don't tell him where to wear them and how to wear them. He's going to wear them everywhere. Yeah, that's why you were dressed. You were dressed as a bank robber.
Yeah, it was
see-through tights all over you.
That was my first ever bit of acting.
And look at you now. You've
Look at me now.
come so far.
Sitting here with tights on my head by myself.
Tights in your arms and tights in your legs. It's a good look, though. It's a strong look.
I do remember walking home after that day, and I had all the tights still on under my clothes. I didn't have the tights on my head, and I had like that feeling of like, that kind of like excitement and like.
Yeah.
Oh, it did sound fucking scary, and I'm still channeling it. And when I was walking home, there was a younger boy, and he pointed at me and went, "That's the shadow," and I felt a little bit famous.
Oh, that's adorable. That wee boy made your day.
Yeah,
Good on him.
it was quite. Yeah, I still think about that sometimes.
So that shadow is the first IMDb credit on your profile as well, funnily enough.
It's the only credit.
I know, that's the sad part as well. That's why I said funnily enough.
Yeah.
But yeah, after that, we went on to do a few acting lessons at an acting school in Edinburgh as well, huh? That's probably more so where we worked on our acting parts a bit more together.
Yeah, that was the first time that I ever said words, like acting words.
Acting words, which are also real words sometimes as well.
Yeah, but, it's quite difficult.
But he still wore the tights the entire time.
Well, that was the thing. If it was a winning, like scenario, you don't lose the tights.
You've been that one person that's got like TikTok famous off a sketch, and you've just constantly redone that sketch for the rest of your life now.
Yeah,
and honestly, it works. It's beautiful.
I'm not going to stop.
He can't be stopped. Staged interventions.
I'm like at the point where I'm now just playing around with different kinds of like sheerness and different.
How many tights can you physically fit on a man?
Exactly, and it's more than you think.
I actually heard that you won an award at Edinburgh Fringe for it.
Yeah, I'm the only person to be nominated for that award.
It's just out of sheer disgust and admiration at the same time as well. It was quite the award to win.
Yeah, please don't come back.
Look, we'll give you this, but stop. Please stop.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, the Edinburgh Acting School, that was quite fun because I think you invited me along to that.
Probably. I was with them for a fair wee while. And again, I was never a good actor as a kid. I never really found myself until an adult. So I was always just, I was a pretty bad actor back then.
Well, unless like you're totally outrageously good, most people are rubbish.
Yeah.
Most people don't get better. That's the harsh reality of it.
Most people just get fed up and find a different career. And honestly, I think they're the smart ones sometimes.
Exactly. No, it pays a lot better.
It does. It's a lot less sad in the long run as well.
Yeah. Well, yeah. It's, yeah.
Yeah.
I was just losing myself to sadness there.
I know. Fuck, we'll bring it back from sadness to embarrassment. All right. Embarrassment, Edinburgh Acting School.
So that, again, so I was kind of using these things as like a way of getting over shyness and in general, just like, I don't know. I didn't really talk very loud. And like, so it was nice to get to say stuff and have people watch you and listen. And because I always found at school that I would make a joke to a friend and then they would say it out loud to everyone.
I fucking had that so many times as well. Oh,
Yeah.
bastards.
So
The loud
you'd be like,
ones. Ugh.
yeah, you'd be like, I was the root of that humor,
Yeah.
and you stole it. So doing the
Where's my
classism,
fucking credit to you cunts?
exactly. Just
Yeah.
give me a little bit. At least say,
I know.
like, no, actually, guys, Ross said that.
That never
But yeah, so I
happened.
was using it as like a way of doing that. So but my fear levels were like at 100,
Yeah.
and I remember going to that, and there was the day when we did the presentation in front of everyone,
I remember this. Yeah.
and we got to invite people. So I invited our friends Matthew and Colin,
Oh, yes.
which were like very close, good friends, but probably in a sort of like being respectful of the art kind of way.
Yeah.
The worst people you could invite to something like that, because it is an awkward situation, isn't it?
Yep, yep. And again, it's 18-year-old boys as well, right? And they weren't in the arts, so to say. Like they're great people as well. Like, don't get me wrong, but like they don't want to come and sit and listen to an hour-long acting class just doing monologues. Like, that's painful.
Who does?
No, genuinely. If I got invited to that just now, I'd be upset.
Yeah.
So bringing along a couple of young rapscallions like that to a show which honestly is not for them.
Yeah. And like when you base your sense of humor around laughing at each other,
Yeah.
it's not really that good. And I remember, I think you probably went before me, but I remember because I'd never spoken in front of like that many people before. And so I was sat, there were benches along the, with seats along the side, and I was sat on that, and I was telling my girlfriend about it yesterday, and my body was frozen. Like, it was absolutely frozen. You know, like when you can be able to just like scratch your knee.
Yeah.
Like, you should obviously normally be able to scratch your knee. I was having to like, almost like I was like petrified, having to like use
Like-
every muscle to scratch my knee.
Like a sleep paralysis. So you're like, I know I can physically move my hand to do this, but I
Yeah.
can't. I'm stuck. I'm done.
Yeah, it's like, oh, I want to just look out the window, but you've got to like crack your neck to like even move it an inch.
Which, for anyone that's not an actor as well, that's not ideal for what you need to do when you need to go up and dance around and do your own wee monologue.
Yeah, it's not like a thing that you can just go like, oh, as soon as I stand up, it'll all go away. No, it doesn't. It still stays there, but you've got to like mask it better.
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember I was sitting there frozen. I was saying the monologue like 6 million times over and over and over and over in my head, which you then end up going like, have I skipped a line? Oh fuck.
Yeah.
And then it got to me, and then I think before I got up, I was like, I could just run out of the room now. I could just go, like, and it won't matter. Like,
I honestly feel like that with every play I do sometimes as well. I'm just like, I could just not turn up tonight, and it means I don't have to stress out about this. And
yeah,
what are they can't arrest me. It's not illegal not to turn up to a play. It's fine. I'll be fine. It'll be great.
if they'll get their money back, they'll probably like that more.
I know. And they'll be fine. I'll save them a couple of hours, and they don't have to come and watch me.
Yeah. So I got up to do mine, still frozen. I remember I could like barely move my eyes, like to look left or right. And then as I started doing it, and I was doing Hamlet, and I think that's the only monologue I know still to this day. But it served me well. It got me into drama school.
Edinburgh Acting School, Iago. That's the only Shakespeare monologue I know to this day as well.
I was actually in the shower the other day, and I just started doing it, like I was testing myself, like, can you still remember that? And I could pretty much remember it all.
Yeah, I'm not far off myself as well. But yeah, sorry. So you're blasting out a Hamlet.
I remember starting and then not being able to look anywhere, and I could just they were sat right at the back, and I could hear them going.
Fucking hell.
Just starting to laugh, but trying to like keep it in, and then doing that, like, you know, when you've got like your shaking shoulders kind of laugh.
Yeah.
And then you stop, and then the person next to you just does a little, and then that just sets you off again.
Oh, and you can't look at each other, otherwise that's the end of it. You're done.
No.
Like if you make eye contact.
It's like, it's my favourite kind of laugh.
Yeah.
Like when I'm doing the laughing, but Oh man, to be
Not when you're being
victim,
laughed at.
the victim of that kind of laugh is brutal.
And it's like you said as well. So this was like our end of term or end of year monologue showcase, essentially. So like there was a fair few people in the room, but it by no means was either a theatre. It was just a big empty room, so you could definitely hear and see everyone, and it was so echoey and reverby as well. So like those little would just be bouncing around the room whilst you're trying to smash out a wee bit of Hamlet.
Yeah, it wasn't the most fun of occasions.
You really set up your early acting career, I have to say, making it sound like this is not a career path you'd want to follow.
Yeah, like again, I was talking to my girlfriend yesterday, like, and she was like, "Do you want to do this?" And I don't think I came into it wanting to do acting.
Yep.
Like, I think I wanted to like maybe make stuff and kind of be in it, but like again, maybe be like the shadow in Peter Pan and just like be in the background and do something silly. Like, but then I don't know, you do it and then you eventually get other jobs and you're like, oh shit, I'm kind of like stumbling upwards. This is kind of
filling upwards or whatever they call it.
Yeah, and you've got to put a bit of trust in like the effort you're putting in, but
yeah,
it's a lot of luck and just sometimes it's like you'll read something and be like, oh no, that's actually me. That's me.
Yeah.
And
then you won't get it as well.
and then you don't get it and you're like, oh, I can't even be me.
And then you're like, oh, fuck this audition. You go home and never think about it. And like, we loved you. And you're like, what's wrong with you?
Yeah. It's really strange.
It's a fucking weird one.
But then I did get into drama school.
Into RSAMD as well.
Yeah. It's
Royal Scottish Academy of Arts and
Music and Drama.
Music and Drama.
It changed its name. It's called the Conservatoire now.
Oh, is it? So like prestigious though, proper prestigious in Scotland.
It stepped up. It stepped up its game. I think it's like still sixth in the world or something.
Holy shit!
Yeah, it's pretty. It's a good name drop.
Yeah, absolutely. It's great on the CV.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I did the training there, and then so the next embarrassing story came from a guy. So there was a guy near below me, and his dad worked for the police, and they needed to do. I think it was around about the time that the Commonwealth Games were going to be in Glasgow, or there was
2012. Was that? Then
it was maybe around about then, I think so. It was some kind of big event in Glasgow that was like a world event.
Yep.
So they had to do like training for the police in reaction to terrorism. So this guy, whose dad was he wasn't head of the police, but he was high up.
He head of the police.
Yes, he was sub-commissioner to the Police of Scotland.
He was Commissioner Gordon.
It was him. Oh. He asked me if I would act in a police training video.
Have you done a police training video as well?
I have done a police training video. Have you done one?
I did one for Dundee and... what's the other area around Dundee called? Dundee and whatever that greater area. Dundee and Fife.
Angus.
It's something like that. I've done one for up there anyway. Back when I was like 14 or 15, I want to say.
Yeah.
But yeah, sorry, I want to hear about yours.
Well, you tell me yours first.
Oh, so mine was on the new surveillance units that they had. So it was these vans that they'd park up at like real problem areas, and then they'd have this massive telescopic thing that'd come out the top, and it'd just do like a 360 view all around the area and see what was going on. And it was basically just like me acting like a right proper little Ned. Or for anyone that's not familiar with the Scottish vernacular, just some wee drop shit like arsehole, and like going around pretending to rob younger kids and then like getting beaten up by some older kids and stuff like that. But like nobody in the area knew that it was a police training video, so all these old people just used to keep coming over to me and telling me to stop harassing these younger kids, or if I'm all right after the bigger kids have pushed me around. So they had no idea that it was acting. So
did the police just watch? They didn't come in.
Well, because they couldn't be in it because it was one of those really high up viewpoints, so they couldn't be close to you. But it was all recorded. Sorry, it was all recorded from that style of CCTV surveillance. So it was like it was recorded from that specific type of police van. But like there was no director or anything standing next to me whilst we were doing it. Like there were directors and stuff, but like I was just out there in the wild beating up children as a child.
That's kind of similar to mine, but so I had to pretend that I was witness to and part of, you know, the SECC in Glasgow. It's like the big massive convention centre. Yeah. So that was going to be used for whatever games it was or whatever event it was, and I was being interviewed by a reporter having witnessed an explosion inside there. And they did send me like a little short script, but I think I read it once. And I just went like, all right, cool, I know that. Not thinking about the fear that would overwhelm me before I have to act as usual.
Oh, of course. And scripts, I don't know about you, they're never stick in my mind straight away. I have to read them like 50 times. Just improv everything, honestly.
Exactly. Just read it once and make it up.
Just fucking replace us all with AI and give me the money for it.
So we set it up, and then as soon as we start recording, I forget everything apart from this one little bit where I had to describe what I'd seen. So the reporter's going like, "Were you part of the explosion?" And I'm going like, "Yes," and I'm sort of pretending to cry. So I was going like, "Yeah, I was there, and I saw a flash, and then I was on the ground."
Pretending to cry. It always goes great on camera when you don't actually have tears in your eyes as well.
Just quite obviously pretending to cry.
You're squinting your eyes and you're trying to keep your eyelids open as much as you can, and you're going like, I feel bad.
Pretending to cry and quite clearly making it up on the spot. Because I think we did a little bit, and then they were like, "Okay, do you want to have a look at like the script?" And I was like, "Yes." And then I looked at it, and that kind of fear moment of when you're looking at something, you're not reading it. Yeah. You're just kind of pretending to take it in.
There's too much here. I can't get all this done in 5 minutes. What do they want?
Look, I'm crying now.
Quick, roll camera.
Yeah, and so then they do it again, and I'm going like, and then I saw a bright flash, and I was on the ground, and so I was really struggling, and I went, and then when I could see again, I saw some. I was like, when I could see again, I saw someone, and they had their legs off.
Fuck. Yeah, like their legs off.
That's where my panicked brain went. Like just going like, if there's been an explosion, oh man, it was awful. And we were doing it out on the street as well, so there were cars going past. And it was horrible.
Every single Scottish driver, as soon as they see a camera, will get right on the horn as well.
Yeah. Oh man, it was so scary. And
did you get it done then? Like, did you actually manage to...
Well, we got it done, and they did end up using it, because I remember I was working in a cafe and I was serving some guys, and they went, "Did you do a police training video?"
You're that boy that said someone got their legs taken off.
I was like, yes, that was me. And they were like, "Oh, we're police, we watched that."
It was shite.
It was the worst video we've ever seen. They were like, "Oh, it was bang on." That exact thing happened just after. I'm so glad we trained for it watching that video.
We came along. Somebody said there was a big flash. They were on the ground, and somebody's legs came off.
And you were there.
It was you. That's so funny. Have you been recognised? Either working at jobs that aren't acting or just in the street general from things before? So you're saying like there. Has anyone else ever recognised you from anything else?
I was once working in a coffee shop, and there was this family sat at a table, and the mum kept looking at me, and
Oh yeah.
she was giving me these like filthy looks, and I thought that maybe, I don't know why, I thought maybe she'd
Yeah.
seen me do some theatre and was like, is that the guy? I fucking hated his acting. So this went on for about an hour. And then towards the end, I saw her speaking to her daughter, who was about the same age as me. And then she came over and I was like, oh, okay, she's about to like slate something that I've done. And
Yeah.
she went, I'm really sorry. I was giving you evils that whole time. I thought you were my daughter's ex-boyfriend.
Fuck, man. She was sitting with her daughter the whole time. Didn't ask her once.
Yeah, I think so. I think she saw me. Well, the daughter wouldn't even thought twice about me,
Yeah.
and so the mum had seen me and was just looking at me and hating me,
Wow.
hatred in her eyes. So I don't know what had happened with that daughter and the ex-boyfriend, but I'm glad that I wasn't him.
If you were that ex-boyfriend, what a fucking cafe to choose to come to as well, hey?
Exactly, but I appreciated her apology because
That is
I think
nice. That is nice.
she must have seen me cowering,
Yeah.
like just not sure what was happening.
That thing as well, isn't it? You're like, oh, maybe they have come to see me in something and I've played a real rotten character, and like maybe they are thinking like that's him, that's why they hate me. And
That's
then you're
that
like,
asshole.
oh, maybe I'm doing something right with my career then. But then they just come over and tell you that, and you're like,
But I've only played nice characters.
I've only been a good boy. I had one once when I was also working at a cafe, and this guy, he was some sort of businessman, came in with his group of friends. He was wearing business suit and everything like that. I was behind the cafe, just dressed like a usual Melbourne barista, so a bit of a twat. And then he stared at me for a wee minute, and he was like, do I know you? And I was like, I don't think so. And he's like, have you been on the telly before? And I was like, oh, like bits and bobs. Like maybe you probably wouldn't know me from anything. And he's like, oh, cool. And he walks back over to his group of friends, like 3 or 4 other guys. And I just see him like talking to his friends and over pointing at me. And all I see from their faces just going, meh. Just the sheer lack of interest and disgust that they would even look over in my direction for somebody that's a nobody. And I was like, yeah, that's about right there.
I remember doing the Neighbours tour when I was in Melbourne.
Did you?
Yeah, and we got to. There's a bit of the tour. So after you've been to Ramsay Street, after you've been to the set,
Yep.
I don't know if it's like the bus drivers getting a backhander off this. So essentially, you see they're like, "Oh, if you're lucky, we might see an ex-cast member," and so then suddenly the bus just pulls up in like the centre of Melbourne, and you look outside, and it's an ex-cast member who's there to do a meet and greet. But
Is it Dr. Carl?
I'm not going to say who it was because I don't want to like slag them off.
Okay.
But I remember sitting in the bus going like, "What? That's who they got? They come and do-" But, like I was like, I'm not getting off the bus. So I think I just sat on the bus
that's
and a huff.
brutal.
Like, yeah, I was just like, I'm not getting off to pretend that I like them.
Oh, it's not Toadie. I'm not getting off the bus for anyone less than Toadie.
It wasn't Toadie, but it was someone who was peripheral to Toadie. I wouldn't say who. I was just like, oh man, I wanted one of the big ones.
I know, but the big ones are still on it and they're doing things as well.
Yeah,
No
they
offense to
wouldn't
this
turn up
person
at a
as well.
bus stop.
No, but like, good on them. That's what I say. Make your money where you can.
Yeah, exactly. They might got like a $5 or something for it.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. Honestly, I'd take a $5 to go and stand at a bus stop. If anyone listening to this wants to PayPal me $5, I'm more than happy to go and stand at a bus stop for a wee bit. You can take a photo with me if you want.
Yes.
I did a TV show once on the Neighbours set. It wasn't Neighbours, but it was a different TV show shooting there. And there was 3 of us doing this one bit, and then they were shooting like the reverse of it or a different part of the scene, so the 3 of us could all go and relax in the green room, so this wee green room for all the cast members, and all individual cast members have like a wee cubby and then a little like wall in front of the cubby, so like just like a little basket, and some of the baskets were absolutely full of fan mail. So like stuff sent in from overseas, presumably mostly from Britain. And then like some of the walls were absolutely papered. Dr. Carl, just absolutely papered with like drawings from like kids from across the world and stuff like that. His cubby was packed full of stuff. And then some other cast members, because they all had their headshots above the cubbies, just empty.
Ah, man, that's sad, eh? Which either means they get none or that they collect it straight away.
That's what someone else said to me the other day, and I was like, that's a nicer way of looking at presumably what the answer is.
Yeah, they don't get any.
Nah, none at all, hey?
You should have left one.
What was that?
You should have left one.
I know I was only wearing Speedo and then Keep Warm at the time, so I didn't have anything to write on.
So you were just about to go to costume.
Yeah, I had just turned up for the day.
Yeah.
Which, ironically, it was like a 35-degree day, but it was absolutely freezing in the studio because they were just pumping the aircon. And I was like, I am freezing on a really hot day in a pair of Speedos. What a bloody life.
Do you ever wear Speedos to, like, still, or...?
They didn't let me keep those ones. They asked for them back, just costume.
Like, personal pair.
Personal pair I do, yeah. Yeah, you need that all over tan in Australia, Ross. I don't know about you,
really?
but yeah, being Melbourne-based myself, I need that 24-hour, 365 day a year tan. So I'm constantly out in the budgie smugglers, running up and down the street.
May I see the tan?
No, you may not. That's for premium content only. You have to pay for that.
That's a tenner at a bus stop.
That's at least £10 or $10 at a bus. £10. I'd take £10 at a bus stop, actually. Oh, I'd do a lot more things for £10 at a bus stop. Anyway, moving on swiftly. So we're moving on past your anti-terrorism training videos. Yeah. Do we have anything past? Was that when you were still in the conservatorium?
That's when I was still there.
Yep.
So now we're moving
graduated.
Yeah, graduated, done some shows, gone great.
Beautiful.
I feel like my career's taken off.
Oh.
So I've moved to London, because that's what you do.
Yeah, because Scotland's got 3 shows, and once you've done all them, you're done.
That's it. Your career's done.
Yeah, you can retire.
But it was like now, obviously, self tapes weren't really. I don't know. Maybe I wasn't getting any, but they just didn't seem to be a thing back then. That was like 2013.
No, I don't even think I'd know how to shoot a self tape back then. To be honest with you, it was always just getting a train or a bus back and forth. I remember getting trains up to Glasgow all the time to do self tapes up there, or to do auditions, I should say. Sorry, not self tapes. But like. Especially got a fair few Australian listeners on the podcast as well. Like Britain, you're just kind of expected to travel anywhere there. Whereas Australia, like sometimes in Sydney, they'll be like, they're Melbourne talent. We can't get them up here.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's really weird. That like obviously Britain's way smaller size wise, but like like I remember just being like, just get the train down to London to do an audition. I'd be like, okay, sure.
Yeah, and then you're like, what, like £100 to go and get told no?
To maybe not even be seen if you're just sitting there, and they'd be like, so we've actually found the guy, it's fine.
Yeah. Well, this one I was already down in London, so I didn't have to spend the train ticket.
Perfect.
But it was for a French toilet paper advert.
Oh, specifically in France, or the toilet paper is French and shows in Scotland, or in Britain?
So I assume it was in France, like a French brand for France.
Okay.
Or maybe one of those adverts, do you know when like you can see their lips moving, but they've definitely said it in a different language?
Oh, that's not a thing in Australia, but anyone back in Britain, you'd know the ones. Like they're talking and you're like, that's not matching. What's going on there? Why is this person brushing their teeth with Colgate, but they're talking without their lips moving?
Yeah. It's a very like obviously overdubbed voice.
Oh, for sure.
So it was the scene was the boyfriend was having a shower. He was in the shower washing himself, and then his girlfriend comes bursting in because she needs the toilet, and then she does the toilet, and he's like, "What are you doing in there?" But he says it in French. No, actually. he didn't say anything. You had to show it on your face. You had to show like, what's that? Because he had the curtain closed. Couldn't see her on the toilet.
Of course. Did you get to? Were you allowed to make any noises? She's like,
I was just no, I didn't make any. The only noises were coming from me pretending to wash myself over my clothes. So
I love that.
I was standing doing that. Yeah. And so then she finishes doing the toilet.
Yep.
And then she reaches for the toilet paper.
Oh.
But there's none.
Oh, that doesn't sound good.
So then she said something to me in French. Again, this was another example of me failing to prepare. So I didn't really translate the French. So that I knew. They didn't supply the translation.
Yeah, they should probably give you that at least in brackets, right?
You would hope so. Maybe they did. So. Maybe I just didn't read it. And so she says something that I assume is along the lines of, I really need some toilet paper.
Yep.
And then I'm in the shower, I'm washing myself, and then my line was, pardon? French.
Okay, good. Nailed it as well by the sounds of things.
But because I didn't prepare, I stupidly thought, do it in your own accent. So I was just standing, washing myself in the shower. She said something, and then I was going, pardon?
Pardon, hen? What's that? What's that, love?
What? So it was like three things she said, and I was supposed to go. Every time I was supposed to go,
yeah.
Pardon? Pardon? But I was just going, pardon? Pardon?
Pardon? Gotta speak up a bit, Pat. I can't hear you.
I can't understand the word you're saying.
Gotta speak English.
Yeah, so that was just like horrible, because I was also thinking, like, I'm supposed to be in a shower. Should I take my top off? Like, is that what I'm supposed to do?
I've had so this is a tangent again, but like I did this one maybe 2 years ago. So everything's self tapes now. TV commercials especially, they're all self tapes. And this one was like, please send in a photo of you in your underwear. And I was like, I don't want to. I just accidentally send this person a photo of me in my underwear, so I'm going to message.
It's quite
them.
Suspect.
I know, right? And then they're like, and I'm like, do you? I was just double checking. Like, do you actually want me just wearing underwear, or like just send a photo and then you like imagine what the underwear looks like over me? And they're like, no, in your underwear. And I was just like, I feel weird sending this. And
did they say from the front or from the back, or
from the front? Yeah, front full body shot.
Wow. Yeah. It's interesting as well, because would you have had to ask someone to take that for you, or? No,
I've got the whole, you can see it behind me, I got the whole set up now, so I just line it up in there.
You've done many of those to hand already.
Yeah, the underwear shots.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
When I buy underwear, as soon as I bought it, I come home and take pictures of myself in all the different pairs of underwear just so I can see what it looks like.
And send them into casting directors.
Send them unsolicited into casting directors and like general post boxes.
Just send a wee postcard for your neighbours.
I go to shops and put pictures of me in underwear in the postcard section, the spinning thing.
Oh, that's beautiful, that is. You just go back to where you bought the underwear from and you clip it onto the underwear so people know what it looks like with somebody wearing the underwear.
I slide it into pockets of jackets in the same shop just so people can...
Nice. And that's not jackets that are for sale, it's just people wearing the jackets in the shop.
Yeah, it's customers and jackets in the staff room.
This man keeps breaking into jackets in this keeps breaking into staff rooms in the shopping centres in Glasgow. Please look out.
We don't even sell pants.
We have a lot of photos of them if you need any references.
Yeah.
But sorry, back to your French, not French edition. Did the person in the room, so the casting director, did they give you any feedback to be like, maybe try that?
No, they just let it happen. They just let it happen. Maybe they thought that was my attempt at a French accent.
Yeah, that's rough.
So they let it happen, and then it was one of those ones where I'm sure this has happened to you, where you walk out the room, and as soon as you walk out the room, it hits you, and you go like, fuck's sake, I was supposed to do it in French.
This French accent, French advert was meant to be in French. Fuck. Oh, I do love them, I have to say, though. They're like, again, not ideal in the moment. And TV commercials, for anyone that doesn't know, they do pay pretty well. So, like, you're always kind of wanting them as well. So, like, they can set you up for a good few months if you do get them. So, it's shit when you don't get them. But you go for them all the time. So, like, I don't know how many you do, like, a week or a month, Ross, but, like, you do a load of them.
They're good fun. Like,
some of them can be. Some of them can be very demeaning. Hello. Now, before we get into our next story, I've got to tell you the main reason why I'm able to fumble through my awkward and embarrassing day-to-day occasions. Coffee. Now, fortunately for myself and all of the listeners, we have paired with one of Melbourne's best coffee companies, Coffee on Q, a coffee worth talking about. Get ready to caffeinate yourself through your next awkward moment with Coffee on Q's signature Elevate blend. Crafted in-house with precision, each sip delivers delightful flavour notes of strawberry, chocolate and marmalade. And here's the deal you won't want to miss. Coffee on Q is offering an exclusive discount to all our listeners. Simply use the code WBFT15 at checkout to enjoy an incredible 15% off all coffee purchases. That's right, WBFT15 is a key to savings, making sure you're properly awake to remember your next big embarrassing moment. Now, this code is valid for all coffee products, so make sure you stock up on your favourites. And the best part? You can use the code WBFT15 as many times as you like. So don't miss out on the opportunity to enjoy the finest coffee Melbourne has to offer. Simply visit Coffee on Q, and that's QCUE.com.au, and enter the discount code WBFT15 at checkout to unlock 15% off your next coffee order. That's WBFT15 at coffeeonq.com.au. Coffee on Q, where awkward moments pair perfectly with your daily cup.
yeah, well, I've kind of done ones recently that have been more just like voiceover stuff.
Oh, nice.
And they're really cool, because I'll just go down to, well, again, our mutual friend Scott. He's got all the recording set up, and I'll just go down to his, and it takes like 3 hours, get to have a wee laugh, and, you know, it's decent money for the amount of time that you're
I know, and you don't even have to, like,
doing it.
remember things. You can have like an actual script in front of you. You don't have to get all the makeup done. You don't have to eat your lunch away from everyone else with a wee napkin over your costume so you don't spill food on yourself. It's nice.
Yeah, it's like if you can just wake up, go round to your friend's house and record something, like, that's quite nice.
That's perfect, honestly. That is perfect. Going back to the weird auditions, I did have this audition once. It was probably about 4 years ago now, where, do you remember fidget toys?
Mm-hmm.
So like
the spinners.
Yeah, like a spinner, but they're like cubes. So a fidget cube. So it's
like a Rubik's Cube?
No, not quite as intellectual. So it's a cube, and it's got like a switch on it on one side, and the other side has a clicker, and then the other side has a spinner. So it's just something you can play around with. Like they said, whatever they were for like people with ADHD to fidget with all day. And they were popping off at the time. This was at the height of the fidget spinner craze.
Yeah.
And I got this one audition, and it was a Japanese commercial. So I don't know how many people know the cliche of the really weird Japanese commercials, but this one was fucking odd. I was going to be playing a thumb. So like, I'm holding my thumb up for Ross just now. So I'd just be a thumb, and then
Thank you. I didn't know what a thumb was.
Thank you. I know. I thought you'd appreciate that. And they were gonna superimpose my face just over like the main part of the thumb there.
That's
and
amazing.
I was gonna be a face. And the casting brief, so like for anyone that doesn't know, that's basically just the document they send out for being like, this is what we're after, this is what we want your character to do, this is essentially like the kind of person we're looking for. And they were just like, we want a Jason Statham type to play a plumber who is a thumb of a plumber to play with a fidget toy.
Thumber.
A thumber? Oh, I should have said that in the audition. Maybe I would have got it. But
damn it.
I put in my audition. They loved it. And then the director just kept asking me to do more and more different takes, to the point where I went home and he messaged me and he was like, oh, I loved it. Can you just try it this way and just send me a video on your phone? And I just kept doing it and kept doing it. And then never got the part.
Yeah.
I never heard back from them. I'm just like, Was this a big joke?
Yeah.
It's like it was
There's
like
not
it
a
was
chance
such,
that advert existed.
I do kind of want to find it, but also I do respect the prank as well. If that was just a prank, because it was like I'm a bum and I'm real sad, and I don't want to be sad anymore, and I'm so bored. Just like
That's amazing. Is that
it
the
was.
accent you did for it?
I think. Oh, I need to warm up into it. That was my Cockney slips into Australian a little bit now, having lived in Australia for so long and trying to do the Australian accent. So
It's very good.
Thank you. I think that slipped into my Michael Caine impression a little bit as well. Michael Caine, and I'm a fum, and I'm very sad. But
yeah, that is a good one. I don't think I've ever auditioned for one as wacky as that.
the toilet paper one's a pretty good one as well, though. Just in the shower listening to your girlfriend destroy a toilet.
I remember I auditioned for another one. I think it was like for Iron Brew or something, and it was way before COVID, and so obviously like hygiene standards were, well, they're probably as low now, but they were there wasn't as much consideration. And I remember just going in, and they gave you this can to like pretend to sip from, but they're like, don't open it. Like you do the scene, but don't open it, because they were obviously just using the same can for every single person. And I was disgusted. I was like, what, you want me to fucking sip from the same can as every other person that's come in here?
You're just slobbering around the room of it, being like, if I'm not getting this, I'm giving someone some fucking disease.
I gave it a quick lick.
That's why you didn't get it.
Just a little lick. That's how we drink, so okay.
Thank you, Ross. Can you just drink that like a regular human being, though? I appreciate the offer. Oh dear. We're in trouble.
But yeah, that was London. I had quite a few embarrassing ones living in London.
Do you find that you're like, because obviously from Scotland you're very much more at home up there, and then when you get down to London, do you feel like you're putting yourself out there more then? Like,
I think like
yourself, so to say.
A little bit of being like, so you're in the first flush of excitement of career, so you're out there, and everyone says, oh, you only get this this time period, 6 months after graduating, where you really get to make your impression and blah blah blah. And so that it's horrible stuff to say, because that doesn't really matter. But it's in your brain, and you're checking your emails every 2 minutes to see if something's come in.
Oh, it's the worst, and you're constantly like, do I like call my agent? Should I get a different agent now? Like, is this the right agent for me? Like, oh, fuck it.
Yeah, I'm still the same one that I was after I graduated.
Oh, and nice.
I think I'm one of the few people that are like that. No, maybe not, but yeah, I like
good.
them. Like, yeah, they're very nice. But I did, so I felt bad about this one because it was for a West End musical.
Oh shit!
And I can sing all right.
Yep.
But I'd never been in a musical.
Can you dance?
I cannot dance to save myself.
I say, can you dance? Obviously, a few pair of tights on you, tights on the legs, tights on the arms, tights on the head. Dance like nobody's business.
Exactly, that's what I was worried about. I was like, my first question was, will there be tights?
And how many?
But yeah, exactly. I've brought my own. So I was kind of like, I wanted to make my agent proud, because it felt like a big deal, like a West End musical.
Yeah,
and
massive.
It was for American Psycho, the musical.
Oh, no shit.
So
That's
it was
a good musical.
Yeah, and it was like Matt Smith ended up playing the lead
the American
guy.
Psycho.
So I was
Patrick Bateman.
Yeah, I was auditioning to be one of the other guys who show their cards and all that kind of, like the other guy, the sort of people who just sit around them at the dinners and all that. And so I said yes, but my agent did say to me on the phone call, like, if you don't want to do it, you can say no. But I panicked and I went, no, I'll do it. I can do that. And so the music was being done by the same guy who did Spring Awakening, which is like, the music for that's great. So I was like, oh, this is cool, and that's kind of like pop punky, and it's not like too out there in terms of range. And so I listened to like a track that had been released for American Psycho. And I was like, oh right, the vibe of that's kind of like Pet Shop Boys, or like that era, like, and it's all about money and excess and all that kind of thing. So I was racking my brain for what song to do, and I wasn't used to people accompanying me like on piano, so I thought I'll accompany myself with guitar, and
Okay.
I checked if that was all right. Yeah, it's totally fine if you bring your guitar along and play it for yourself. And I thought I came across the perfect song, and it was "Glamorous" by Fergie.
Well, that's a song. That's
You
a
know the
different
song?
song. Yeah, of course.
Because I was thinking it's about money, it's about excess, it's about flying first class, and
Okay, I
it's
can see where
quite
you're
easy
coming
to
from.
sing.
Hey
And
guys,
it comes, I looked up the chords for it, and it was just like G C D A or something like that. So I was like, "Fucking yes, perfect."
GLAM.
Yeah. So I went along, and I remember my guitar, the zip on the bag broke. So I used safety pins to put my like guitar bag around my guitar.
Oh, that can be a look at least. I feel like that's like,
Yeah.
yeah,
They're going to be like, this guy's punk, man.
yeah. Turned up here to sing a punk song.
Fucking Black Eyed Peas punk song. So I went into the room, and again I went straight back to that mindset of shitting myself because I've
Which is
never,
fair enough. It's hard to
never
get
done
out
a
of.
musical. Having to sing for strangers,
Yeah.
and I went in.
Oh,
I did that awful thing of there were about 5 people on the panel as well, which was
daunting.
intimidating. And so I did that thing of shaking everyone's hand as soon as you get there,
Oh,
even though
that's
you could
nice.
tell they don't want to shake it,
Nah, they don't
with
give a
like
shit.
the sweatiest hand I'd ever had in my life.
Hello, everyone. Here's my moist hands. I'm going to go and play the Black Eyed Peas for you.
Can I dry my hand on you? Um, and they said, "Oh, you're the one who's playing guitar." And so I was like, "Oh,
Oh,
crap! Pressure's on." And I sat
you're
down,
famous.
and I went. They were like, "Okay, start when you're ready." I got my guitar, and my body did that exact same thing that happened in that first monologue class, where
Yeah.
every muscle tightened up. And I tried to play the guitar, and I couldn't strum. So I had to. I made the chord with my fingers, and then all I could do was like one downstroke for the chord.
Oh,
So I was like G, and then I started singing, and I was going like. I was doing it really quiet because I was really scared. I was like, flying first class up in the sky, and then change chord. Open champagne, living the life. And then I forgot the words. So I had to be like, can I start again, please? And they're like, oh, yeah, absolutely, start again. But obviously they've turned off.
oh yeah, that's mentally checked out.
Yeah, and so I because I'd forgotten the words, I was like, it's okay, I've got them written down here in my notebook. And I got my notebook out, which was the tiniest notebook that you've probably ever seen, like stamp size. So I opened it up on the page. I put it down on the ground in front of me. So now I'm sat on a chair, leaning right over, like facing the ground, slowly strumming out a single chord. And then I got to the GLAM, and I forgot how to spell glamorous because I was that scared. And then the pianist in the room was like, "Oh, I think I know the chords," because he watched me play 4 chords, and he was like, "I can play that for you if you want to just sing over me." And I was like, "No, it's fine." So I kind of struggled to the end of the song, and they were like, "Okay, thanks for coming." And I got up, walked towards the door, and as I went out the door, I accidentally slammed my guitar off the wall inside of it. So it was like, boing. And then the next person who was coming in after me was like, "Oh, that was it. You sang that really well."
Oh,
And I was just like, shut the fuck up. I know you're lying to me. Like,
they were probably listening and be like, "Fuck, I'm in for a chance if this is what's going on in there."
yeah, they were like, he set a very high bar there. Yeah, really avant-garde.
I always say this on the podcast. I do not mean to laugh at your misfortune, but that is
Said,
an absolute belter.
oh man, it was like disgusting. Like
So good.
I feel really like bad about it because like it was a bit like I don't anymore, but
Yeah.
like just but it's that kind of thing where if you just like were a bit calmer, a bit more like
Yeah.
understanding of what the world is actually like, you wouldn't
Yep.
be scared.
I know.
Um,
And it's like at the end of the day, you're like, all right, maybe I'll spend a couple of minutes to look up how like musicals auditions go, and then you're
yeah,
like, all
it
right,
should have
then
done
someone
that,
else
eh?
can play it. Someone else can play it, and I'm fine. And if it goes wrong, it's fine. It's not the end of the
Yeah.
world. I'll be telling this years later on a podcast anyway. So
Exactly.
something came
Never
of it.
auditioned for a musical since.
I think like some of the times I've fucked up the most in auditions is having to sing. I'm not a singer at all. And like genuinely, I think one time they were like, and again, I'm exactly the same as you. They were like, oh, we really love your look. Can you come in and audition for this? And I was like, yeah, right. I'm not much of a singer, but whatever. So I came in and they're like, do you have the sheet music? And I was like, oh, no, I've just got the track. And they're like, oh, okay. I suppose we can play it through our Bluetooth speakers then. And then their Bluetooth speakers didn't go loud enough for me to hear the track. So I constantly kept going off timing. And then they were like, what song is it? And I was like, oh, it's a song from Dr. Horrible's sing-along blog. And I was like, what? And I was like, oh, yeah. And then I think one point in the song, I say somebody smells like poo. And I could all visibly see them just going, what?
They were all going like, "Oh, he does smell like poo."
Oh my God, I've never noticed that before. The first time I've noticed that was through the form of song.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Oh
no,
man, it's scary. When I was doing like the drama school audition stuff, one of them I sang chimney.
classic, absolute
And I don't know
classic.
why, but they gave me like the tallest stool chair I've ever seen in my life. So I was about like 6 feet off the ground with my legs just swinging, going like chimney, chimney, chim. It was awful. And then I did. They had a bit where you had to do like an improvised scene because I think they had like a contemporary performance course, and there might be like, okay, they're not acting. Maybe they might be better with improvisation. Put them in that. I think it was Liverpool, and my improvised scene, I kind of made it up on the train on the way down, and I was like, "What? Oh, this is going to be amazing! What if I see a butterfly, and then I just joyfully try to catch the butterfly, and then I catch it, but I've accidentally, this is the twist, I've crushed it in my hands. Oh no, and then I try and set the butterfly free, and it just falls to the ground and it's dead." So I improvised that on the spot, and it was really bad.
Oh, I was going to say, how did it go? I would honestly, I'd love to sit in some years on one of those panels just to see the number of people that come through. Because, my God, that must be good.
The one that got me in that I sang was "Go the Distance" from Disney's Hercules.
No shit. So the very first episode of this podcast, I told the story of almost shitting my pants, and and that was an audition for a Shakespeare company in Melbourne, and they asked a song as well, and I said, I sang "I'll Make a Man Out of You" from Mulan. Yeah. Fucking classic.
Would you like to sing it for me now?
I'd rather shit my pants, I'll be honest with you. So sorry, moving on now. Oh God. We've moved past American Psycho the musical, which I've heard good things about, but fuck them. They didn't want you. How dare they?
Yeah, but hey, my loss.
Exactly. I think it might have been at the end of the day. But you moved on now with. Are you still down in London at this point?
No, I'm back. I'm back in Glasgow now, and I'm doing some Shakespeare. I'm doing some actual Shakespeare.
Oh, yeah, nice.
I've been cast in the roles of, so it's Romeo and Juliet.
Yep.
I've been cast in the roles of Tybalt.
Oh.
And
the nurse.
The nurse.
I fucking knew it. It's always the nurse. It's always the nurse.
And I think my better character was the nurse.
That's everyone's better character, honestly.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It was it was like a good fun show, and I did enjoy doing it. But the embarrassing thing was during the fight scenes, and I remember initially, like, when we were planning out the fight scenes, kind of struggling a little bit, because I was like, if all this violence had happened to me, I would already be dead. Like, like, I don't know how I can act this, because that move would have killed me. That move would have killed me.
Fucking
I don't know if I can drag myself to the point of actually getting to die. Um, but yeah, so we practiced it all out, and we were doing like the tour of it, and then one day, and both these things happened in the same performance. We were halfway through the fight, and I realised I didn't have my blood pack in my pocket.
Oh.
So I just, mid-fight, just walked off stage to get it. Just left another person standing there. And I was like, well, I've got to bleed. Like, I can't die without bleeding.
No one would believe this otherwise.
And it obviously makes more sense to the play if one person just walks away and then comes back, as opposed to maybe not bleeding.
And I'm sure your scene partner fucking loved that as well.
Yeah, I think I very quickly whispered something like, "I'll be back in a sec." So I just went into the wings, grabbed the blood pack, put it in my pocket, and then came back on and got stabbed and died. But also prior to that in the fight, so we were using like blunted off knives, like daggers, in our hands. And it was a school. The audience were school children, and my hands were sweaty again, and fighting very violently. It wasn't nervousness. And I accidentally launched the knife into the school children.
Fucking hell.
And I didn't realise until it was already in the audience.
You said this was in Glasgow, though, right?
That was in Glasgow, yeah.
Yeah,
so
those school kids would be used to that.
They threw it back because it wasn't good enough for them.
That's a shite, sir.
Yeah. It was, so that was, I don't know, maybe that wasn't even embarrassing. That was just like...
Funny. You stabbed a child.
Yeah, there was another like audience interaction thing in a different show. That was I do think about this sometimes, and it was a pantomime, and we were doing Jack and the Beanstalk 2, Return of the Farmer. It was a sequel. Oh yeah, the farmer who sold Jack the magic beans.
Oh,
he's seen Jack get wealthy. He wants his cut of the pie.
Shouldn't have sold his fucking beans then, eh?
Exactly. He didn't know they were magic. Did he know they were magic? I've never read Jack and the Beanstalk.
You didn't read it for the preparation of Jack and the Beanstalk 2?
No, I thought I'll just wing it. I thought I'll just do a funny voice and that'll be enough.
That sounds like pantomime.
It worked. It worked.
Oh, perfect.
And I remember, so towards is there other pantomimes in Australia? Or?
Nah. So not really at all, to be honest with you.
Okay, but most people probably know what it is, and it's like towards the end. Yeah, sorry. Towards the end, you kind of throw sweets out to the audience.
Oh, classic.
Because
who doesn't love a good pantomime?
Exactly, because it makes up for if the show's been crap.
Yep.
And if the show's been good, it's like twice as good because you get sweets.
A wee reward.
But you're supposed to gently lob the sweets into.
Are we talking like an underhand throw or like a baseball pitch?
So you're supposed to do an underhand throw. But I got so overexcited.
Oh, no.
So overexcited. And I was trying to reach the people at the back.
Of course.
But I just had handfuls of sweets that I was just pelting as hard as I could. Seeing them kind of do big curls through the air and there was one, and the one that hits me every so often, I'll just think about it, was I launched one and it was as hard as I could. And it missed a child's face by about 2 inches. And the glare that I got from the dad was awful. And it was one of those ones where as soon as you did it, you were like, that was naughty. That was bad. I shouldn't have done that.
Naughty.
I was a very naughty boy there.
Was it one of those, we Scotland loves our hard-boiled sweeties as well. Was it one of the little hard-boiled, what are they, little Werther's Originals or something? Eggs.
No, it was, well, I suppose, I think like the hard-boiled sweets would lose speed with
Oh,
distance.
okay.
Whereas what I was throwing was the tiny little bags of Haribo with the serrated edge.
So
And
you
if
can
anything,
slice
they
the
picked
child's
up
face
speed.
off. They're like a frisbee or a discus,
Yeah, I was scarring children all over the place.
emotionally and physically.
But then it like, you get a cut, you get a sweet. It all like evens itself out.
I know you've gone and watched a pantomime. You shouted, "It's behind you," and then you
Yeah.
got a
You leave
cool
crying.
star for later in life, and you got some fried eggs in a Haribo bag.
Yeah. So that one, like, because I was like, oh, that was actually really stupid. I shouldn't have been launching sweets at children.
No, probably
Yeah.
not. But
So
hindsight,
that's one of the ones that every so often I'll be walking down the street and it'll just go through my brain and I'll be like, idiot.
fuck yeah, I know. I've got a few of them as well, and they are rough. I do
That's
not know
like
how to get rid of them.
that's proper embarrassment because you're like, I should have known better.
I should not have almost killed this child.
I've just remembered this is quite a quick one.
Yep, beautiful.
From that same Romeo and Juliet show. It wasn't really embarrassing. It's more silly. We were doing the show, and it was the night that my family came.
Oh.
And we were in Summerhall in Edinburgh, so they're very small rooms, probably just 3 rows deep of people. And my gran and granddad came, and my granddad was sat right at the back, and it was obviously close enough for me to see everything.
Oh.
And like, I think it was towards the end of the first half. There were loads of posters on the wall behind him, and the 2 bits of blue tack at the top of the poster above his head just came off slowly from the wall, and I just watched as it slowly fell over his face. And I don't know if he was like just not sure about theatre etiquette, or decided that the poster was more interesting. But he sat with the poster over his face, covering his eyes for the rest of the first half.
Like, that's fantastic. Oh,
I thought that was brilliant.
That's honestly, if I would rather watch that than most Shakespeare.
I think so. And then at the end of the show, he, instead of saying "well done" to me, he went over to a man that had a dog and said, "That's a really nice dog."
I'd rather go and see your granddad in anything, I'll be honest with you, than any Shakespeare.
He did congratulate me after it, but I thought that was quite a funny, like, oh, that's a good dog.
Oh, look, my grandson, he's up there doing some good stuff, but fuck, that's a cracking dog.
He's not as good as that dog.
Oh, excuse me. Fuck, that was a good one.
I don't even know why there was a dog there.
Did I pay for a ticket?
It was inside.
No comments. Come on, guys.
Yeah.
Support the arts.
Yeah. But yeah, that was just a quick one.
No, that was.
I don't know how much time we've got left, but I've got loads more. Just tell me when to stop.
Oh, cool. How about we got 2 more of your best ones, and then I'm going to tell the one with both of us, and then I reckon we can.
Have I not said the one with both of us?
No, you haven't, and I'm excited to hear or to see if you you remember it. But yeah, sorry, give us 2 more of your absolute best ones.
Okay, so these are probably these are my 2 best, and I think maybe the second one. Can you delete stuff off of this?
Oh, like edit it out?
Yeah,
absolutely.
Okay, so okay. I'll tell you them both, and we'll see what happens.
If I get a message in like 5 hours, just you being like, delete that. I'll do it. Don't
Because
worry.
I think I'm over the shame of it. I think I'm over the shame.
Oh.
So the first one is that, when was it? I think I'd just done a job, like an acting job, so I had like a decent amount of money.
Nice.
And I've been listening to the Richard Herring Leicester Square Theatre podcast where he interviews lots of comedians. And I'd been noticing that on every episode, people could advertise stuff.
Yep.
Like you could ask him to advertise anything. You just had to buy the advertising space. So I went like, oh yes, like stroke of genius. I will advertise myself on his show. So I wrote to them and said, would it be all right if I advertise myself as an actor on your show? And they said, yeah. And then I think it was maybe 2 months after that, I had to go down, and I thought they would just talk about me.
Yep.
They said, do you want to be in it? So I went down to London on the train, reading the script that they'd sent me.
Oh, yeah.
To go and meet Richard Herring and be part of, like, come on and do just a little, like, selling myself cameo.
Come on to play a police officer, was it?
Yes.
Yes.
Did you watch it?
I did.
Oh, I've never watched it.
Have you not?
Is it horrible? Is it horrible?
Oh, I'd say maybe give it a couple more years before you watch it. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Please do continue with the story, though.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then when I got there, so it was like it was a radio show in front of a live audience.
Yeah.
So I assumed it would be like script in hand radio. Yep. I didn't realize I didn't have many lines, but I'm not good at learning them. So I hadn't learned them.
Yep.
And also meeting someone who's like quite famous and like and well thought of, and like I'd listened to all his stuff, and so I was kind of, again, the running theme of shitting myself, like, was there, and I got there, met them, shook hands, hi, nice to meet you. And one of the funny things when I got there was that I got introduced to him, and he offered me a biscuit, and I was like, "Oh yeah, thank you." And he's like, "Well, you should probably take one, seeing as you paid £200 to do this."
Is it £200? Was it?
And then I went, and I didn't say anything. I was like, "Oh, actually, it was 300." But
you fucking deserve a couple of biscuits.
And then so I went and sat in the dressing room with them, and they're going over it, and I'm sitting there reading the script going like, oh shit, I need to actually know this. And then I can't really, I've kind of blocked it all out, but I came on as a policeman.
Yep.
And I don't really know what I said. I think I maybe did something like, stop doing this.
Yep.
Oh God.
I quite vividly remember this, to be honest with you, Ross.
Oh man, I genuinely have never watched it because I've just been scared of it. Like,
can I fill in a couple of blanks here?
Go for it.
So I believe you came on, and then you did your wee bit with them, and then they said that you'd paid to come on the show to advertise yourself.
Yeah.
And one of the guests was quite taken aback by that and asked genuinely, had you done that?
Yeah.
And then after that again, they were like, okay, all right. And then you gave out your number, your what's it
called? Phone number?
No, not phone number. Sorry, I can't remember the acting directory in the UK. What's that called again? Sorry, we cut out there for a bit. Ross ended the recording out of sheer embarrassment.
I ran away.
But sorry, yes, you gave out your spotlight number on stage for anyone to look you up. Can I ask, did any work come of it?
No.
No.
No. And I was down £300.
Oh, £300.
That's a month's rent.
It's a bit of money. It's a bit of money. Oh dear. But you can absolutely ask me to edit that out, but I'm going to find that clip and I'm going to post it on YouTube if you do. So
don't post it.
Post it onto the Instagram.
Don't post it. Yeah, no, that's not even the one that I'd want edited out. Like that, yeah.
Yeah, I don't blame you. Oh, but again, it's funny. It's like, I don't know if it's been enough time in between it now.
Probably. I could probably watch it, but I think I would just see the fear in my eyes.
But then you could film yourself watching it, and then you could also have the fear of watching yourself have the fear.
Yeah, no, that would be... Yeah, it was just... everyone was actually very nice, but...
Yeah.
What a stupid thing to do.
Yeah, that's a bit rough. It is a bit rough. But again, I
think I was just like, I was exciting myself. I was going like, just do it, take a risk, and that might pay off, you know?
Exactly.
Put your name on a billboard, all that kind of shit. Like,
it's what acting is. You're taking risks every day. So then sometimes you don't have the person there to be like, maybe don't do that one.
But the most expensive
you kind of have to always push through it. Wait, the most expensive fan meet and greet for you or for them?
I paid, yeah. I was the fan paying to meet and greet.
That's a pretty expensive meet and greet. But you have that forever on file. It's on there out on the internet as well for all to see.
Oh God.
So should we have one more of your stories, and then we'll jump into mine, and we can wrap it up.
So this one is probably, it's the most. I'd say the most embarrassing, and and we're jumping back in time now. We're jumping back into the heady days of working at the Edinburgh Dungeons.
Oh, I remember these days.
Yes. Do you know the story that I'm going to tell?
Oh, I might do, actually. There's a couple of ones from the Edinburgh Dungeons, so I'll be interested to see which one you say.
So this one is about my last day at the Edinburgh Dungeons.
Okay, I know what this one is then.
Which is like, it's so much like shame around it. So I'd been working there for a year, and it was going to be my last day because I'd just got into drama school, so I was leaving anyway. And the night before, it had been the sort of the night out for the people who work there, and so they supplied a lot of alcohol. So I got stinking drunk, and then woke up the next morning on the floor of a co-worker, like of their bedroom floor. Like we'd gone back there. I think I'd left. I can't remember, but I had to wear their jeans to go in, and they were like, I don't know, but the jeans were like 4 sizes too big and too long, and I didn't have a belt, so I was like scrunched up jeans and holding them up as I walk into work.
Jeez.
And I got there, and the place was kind of like, you could see that people had been drunk. The phone had been put inside the freezer and stuff like that. And I was, because I drank so much, I still was a little bit drunk from the night before.
Yeah.
So the day kind of just started, everyone's coming in going like, I'm so hungover. Like, are you? Yeah. Last night, can't even really remember it. And then we start the shows. And there was another person as well who was probably still having the post-drinking, still drunk thing that I had. And we, like, that kind of place was you could get quite silly there. So when you're sober, you can get quite silly. So
do you want to explain kind of what it was for people that might not know, like, of the Edinburgh or the London Dungeons?
So it's like a scare attraction. So
so it's like live performers in there, right?
So it's actors in different scenarios. The groups come through and then out the other end, and each little scene lasts maybe about 5 minutes, and you'll spend the day doing different characters, like that kind of thing, and like jumping out, telling them scary stories or endless history. So we all got dressed up, went down into the dungeons, which actually just used to be a car park. That's what historically it was. That's the amount of terror it has attached to it.
Fucking hell! Wow, fair enough.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
And so we're down there doing our shows. They're coming through, and you're still a little bit drunk, so you're being slightly more silly than normal. For instance, the other person who was as silly as I was, he was adding swear words to his show. So,
rough when there's an awful lot of children in that. Usually,
that's a quick way of scaring them.
That's true.
Yeah,
true.
And so then I was doing the ghost corridor, which you were like, you had a shawl on, like a brown shawl, and you tell them a story about a ghost that could appear. It might appear at any second. And then the whole time you're saying that, you're just pressing the button on the wall going like, all right, ghost, come out soon. And then, I press the button, the lights start flickering. Oh, what's going to happen here? And what you're supposed to do is, when it was blackout, you're supposed to like scurry out in the darkness, go round the back and come in the other end. And then when the lights come on, you stamp your big staff on the ground and give them a fright, and that's it. But what I thought would be hilarious to do would be that when it goes into darkness, I'll just lie face first on the ground
Fuck.
And then when the lights come back on, I did a fart.
That's comedy. I don't care what anybody says. That's
In my
comedy.
head, it was like the funniest thing ever. But they didn't find it funny. And so then I told them, carry on your journey. then they leave.
If that happened whilst I was experiencing that as a customer, I'm like, this is pretty funny. Like, I know I'm here to get scared or whatever, but I'm like, I'm just laid face down on the ground and farted. That's fucking comedy. I don't, like, genuinely don't care what anyone else says. That's comedy.
Terrifying.
Yeah. Everyone's trapped in a
Oh, did you see the farting ghost?
unconscious body. No, but I smelt it, Mum.
Yeah. Oh man, yeah, it was awful. It was not good.
Yeah, it's a bad way to leave a job as well. From what like all sounds of things as well. You
Yeah, like it was one of those jobs where it's like, oh, this is actually cool, and I could come back to this in a bit.
Yeah.
But no, burn those bridges.
Well, just head down to London Dungeons.
I bet they wouldn't recognise me now if I went back.
No. Are they still around as well?
I think so. Yeah,
Going
I've
strong?
never been in,
Good on them.
but
Not allowed back in. That's why.
banned for life.
Well,
Yeah,
there's worse places to be barred.
yeah,
from.
exactly. But yeah, that's the bad one.
That's not ideal. But again, like that's pretty funny. Like those things you did in there are genuinely pretty funny.
Yeah, I don't do stuff like that
I don't
anymore.
care. No, that's. I mean, fair enough as well. Like, obviously, do the job that you're hired to do and whatever. But
Yeah.
still, it's very funny. I reckon it's time to bring the podcast full circle now, Ross. So I want you and the listener to cast your mind back to our very first story that we had on this podcast. Do you remember what the first story
The
was?
school one?
The school one.
Oh, okay.
So we went back, and as Ross mentioned, we did Peter Pan as our final year, like pantomime or play or whatever it was. Not the highest, production level in it, I'd say, but that's fair enough. It was what it was. And then I think probably during the dress rehearsal or one of the rehearsals just beforehand, Ross, do you remember what happened?
Don't know. What was it?
This is... So I was playing John or Little John or Wee John or whatever John's name was.
Yeah.
And I was wearing pajamas as a as a costume.
I think I remember.
Ross, I feel like you scanted me or debagged or pantsed or whatever the kids are calling it nowadays. Which happens in school. It happens. And then the unfortunate thing is the absolute fashion at the time as a high schooler was to wear those big billowy boxer shorts. So I only had a pair of pajama pants and boxer shorts on, which Ross did manage to grab both of at the same time and fully pantsed me right in front of, I think, everybody in the play. Luckily, not during an actual performance, but still enough to have arsehole flapping in the wind, cock and balls out for all. And again, I was a weird little child as well, like anyone that's into acting at school usually is. So I think that was probably one of my first. And look, I honestly, it's just funny now.
Did you hate me?
Particularly hung up on it, but
Did you hate me for that?
Oh, for a wee bit, I'll be honest with you, for a wee bit.
I don't think I even meant to
But I
do
think
it.
that's probably... No, that's the thing. But then again, it was sexual assault, Ross, so I have actually brought you on this podcast to cancel you.
Yeah, no, I think like I remember because it was in that sort of like the panic mode of just doing stuff, making stuff up on the spot, and then my brain just in like one of those ones where you think you act before you think, and your pants around your ankles.
Pants and boxer shorts are all the way down to the knees. And Peter Pan's shadow has been added to the sex offenders list.
God. Oh, God.
I'm offended you didn't remember that, I'm going to be honest
I think
with
I
you.
must have blocked that out.
Don't worry, I blocked out my mind for a fair few years after that as well, I'll be honest with you.
Yeah, oh, well, sorry for doing that.
Oh, That's quite all right. That's the only reason I've done this podcast was for that apology. So I feel like you've shared enough of your own stories now for me to not feel as bad about that. But that genuinely, I didn't remember that for the longest time. But then when I was getting prepped on for you coming on the podcast, I was like, this is actually perfect. This is the perfect time to tell this story. Yeah. So, I mean, I suppose thank you for a great story on a podcast many, many years later.
Wow, that's funny. Yeah. I sort of, now you said it, I do remember just that split second panic of, I've just pulled down his trousers.
Again, it was right at the end of high school, so I didn't really have to see anyone ever again as well, but far out, man. In the
show must go on.
In the time. What a fucking time. The show must go on.
Keep them down.
So, just for that, I think I will post that video of you going down to London, paying to be on that stage.
No, don't.
Actually, anyone on Instagram, write in to reckon, do you think that the punishment fits the crime for that?
Oh, disgusting.
I'll do a poll. But no, genuinely, thank you for coming on. I don't think I've laughed so hard at some of the stories in a long time. I'm still chuckling away thinking your granddad watching you with half a poster over his head and then going outside and complimenting a literal dog before he compliments you. That's fucking fantastic. Oh, thank you so much, Ross, though. But if people want to see you or want to find you, or if you have anything coming out, now would be the time to say it.
If you want to see me, you'll see me in the streets.
See him in Edinburgh dungeons.
Keep your eyes peeled. I've done a TV show that'll be out soon. Get to do a scene with Peter Mullen, which is really cool. So it's on ITV.
It's a bit of fun. Are you allowed to say? What the TV show's called?
I think it was called Loss and Return when we filmed it, but I don't know if it's changed its name.
Okay, so just keep an eye out for Peter Mullen's next show in that case. Just Google Ross. You can follow him. You've got an Instagram or a Facebook or TikTok? You got a wee TikTok?
No, I deleted TikTok because it was melting my brain.
Yeah, me too.
It's horrible,
good.
Isn't
it? It's bad.
Yeah. No, I don't really. I don't have any social media that's worth
following
people's time. I don't really use it.
So I want you
for like advertising.
Yeah, fair enough. So anyone listening, I want you just to go into IMDb every now and again and check out Ross, Mann as well.
AKA Mr.
I'll make a little recommendation. Mr. Piss, there you go. I'll make a little recommendation as well. Beats was a film you had a part in a few years ago. It's just come out on SBS On Demand in Australia. So so check that out for all of our Australian listeners. It's a great wee snippet of life from the 1990s.
Like 94?
The Lothian and Borders. Yeah. It's real good.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it.
I do some good acting in it.
You do. And it's like it's a good story as well. Just a couple of wee gobshites being gobshites, but in a nice way.
Check that out.
Yeah, so check that out. And then I suppose the same for every week as well. You can find the podcast, Won't Be Forgetting That Pod, across most of the social media platforms. You can find myself, Seb Muirhead, Muirhead, across Instagram and YouTube. If you did enjoy the episode as well, please do subscribe. Write a review. 5 stars is always super appreciated. I know I say this every week, but it genuinely does help the podcast. And if you do think that we should release that video of Ross that he paid to be on the stage show for, then please do write in as well. Write that in your review.
Write it and post it.
Write that on
on a wall somewhere.
Weird underwear photos. Write it on the next bathroom stall you go to. All right, perfect. Thank you very much, Ross.